touched the hair of a girl sitting in front of me. So this happened to me today and I've been feeling guilty ever since. Long story short, a girl sat in the seat in front of me. I let her hair behind. She had long, beautiful hair. At first, I accidentally touched it whilst taking lip balm out of my bag. I had a dentist appointment, but her hair felt very soft, so I kinda caressed her hand softly with my fingers. At first, it was wrong of me to do this, so I stopped after 10 to 15 seconds and let my boss try to continue normally. But after 10 minutes, decided to touch her hair again. Then, however, I did it for the next 2 to 3 minutes. I slightly caressed them with my index finger, and I might have regrettably played with her hair a bit. I genuinely regret it, and I'll promise such thing would never happen. I'm 19, that's why I'm genuinely concerned about my actions and their consequences now. I'd go through family things while I'd house sit as a teen. When I was a teenager, I used to house sit for some neighbors. The wife was okay looking, nothing special. I still don't understand why I did it, but I'd raid her underwear drawer. Got such a rush from it, and I did it for years. I don't know if she ever knew, but fond memories nonetheless. I found my ex-girlfriend's parents' tape recorder. It was a voice recording of her mom and her mom's boss fucking. Told my GF because I felt incredibly guilty. She brought it up to the dad and they ended up getting a divorce. Strange thing is, it was on their nightstand in plain daylight. I've always wondered what the fuck was really going on. I was a kleptomaniac and it started as a young child. I'm not 25, but I just wanted to come on here and see if I'm not the only person who did this so young and no remorse. So when I was around 8 years old, my mom manipulated me into stealing my grandpa's pain pills, and at first I didn't want to do it, but she convinced me, and I honestly think that that's when it started. He trusted me to give him his medicine, so my mom told me when I give it to him, take some extra and give them to her. I ended up doing this for a while and I really feel bad about it. Then one year, my grandma was in charge of the fundraiser money for us to go to church camp, and I would steal money. That was literally helping my friends and I go on a vacation. Not much, but a few bucks here and there for candy. I stole cash from people who would never think it was me and never confessed. Then fast forward to middle school and high school, I would literally steal anything that I wanted, but only if I knew I wouldn't get caught. I've never been caught stealing, which is why I think I kept it up. I stole a friend's iPhone and she gave me her password so we can find my iPhone, and I saved her password so I could reset it. I acted like I got a new phone about 2 weeks later and I hid it until then. I've stolen from stores, literally never paid for makeup until about 2 or 3 years ago. I've stopped stealing completely for about a year now, but since I've turned 21, I only stole from stores and not actual people. There's a lot more that I've stolen, but I feel like those are the worst. I used to steal things from stores as a kid for fun. When I was young, teenaged, I would steal small items from stores, frequently just for the fun of it. I wasn't in any way poor, quite well off actually, but just did it for the thrill. Of course, now I realize it was stupid, but I'm especially sorry to the security guard I heavily berated and nearly got fired once after they caught me stealing. I pushed my mother during an argument and now I regret it deeply. So a little backstory here. I was preparing for my college entrance exam for the past 2 years and wasn't as serious about it as my classmates. Right now, I got admission into a reputable college and it is well known, so that's not so much of a problem. The problem is that my mom used to pester me a lot regarding my studies, which I understand. But just at the start of 2024, I got in contact with one of my old friends once more, and he too was coincidentally studying for the same exams. So I told my mother about this and she and his mom got in touch. This guy had been preparing for these exams for quite some time, while I only got serious about it recently. And my mother loved to compare us both every fucking waking moment. She used to taunt me so much that it led to so many arguments. Those arguments were so heated, my throat used to hurt the next day from all that shouting. She taunted me and humiliated me by saying that shit in front of my physics teacher, my maths teacher, but she was smart enough not to talk about it in front of my father. I used to scream to tell her to leave me alone, try to make her understand, but it didn't work. And that guy is a complete douchebag in real life. I told my mother about this. She wanted me to hang out with him despite me telling her so many times how arrogant and annoying he is, but she didn't listen and I lashed out extremely bad. That was on Friday. Our fight was so bad and so much shouting was involved. My throat hurt and her stomach started aching the next day, which she later blamed me for. Then today on Monday, I wanted to talk to her about the college I had gotten, and she just dismissed it. Another thing about her is that she's very disrespectful and will never acknowledge it. She talks to me like trash, calls me like some servant from across the house when she has work that needs to be done. She will curse at me when she gets angry, but when I reach my breaking point, I am a bad son who doesn't know how to talk to his mother. She never accepts her faults. So today we got into the same argument after she again was acting dismissive of my college course, for which I will be going out of my city in a month for 5 years. She just seems so indifferent, not even a single compliment or anything, just picking at my previous mistakes and taunting me that I would do the same when I go to college. It was all too much for me today, so when she was in my room again today pestering me, I told her to leave me multiple times. I was on the verge of crying and threw a pillow at her to get the point across. She just brushed it off and continued. It all became too much to bear and I pushed her and she fell down on the floor. I regretted it so damn much and she was looking at me like I'm some monster. So she started crying and telling me what kind of son am I to do this. And she said to me she wants nothing to do with me and that she should have never given birth to me. She said she didn't want to hear my disgusting voice when I tried to justify myself. Keep in mind that this is after I got accepted in a good college with a good course in AI. She has never been appreciative of a single thing and frankly I feel like a monster. I want to commit suicide. I feel like dying and I feel like trash. I'm afraid I will do this and lash out in the same way when I get a girlfriend or a wife and be tagged as an abuser. I have a past of being bullied and I really can't handle being put down like someone pathetic. I feel so bad just thinking about it. I never once have put my hands on her and this was the first time I did it in anger. I am not proud of it. Before we move on to the next story, do well to click that subscribe button and like this video so that others can see it too. And also comment your favorite story and what advice you could give for these confections. I swapped tags from a cheaper fishing rod to a more expensive one. I've been wanting this rod for a while but couldn't justify spending $70 when I already have one that works fine. I saw a meme recently about people swapping tags from a $150 fishing rod combo with something much cheaper and gave me the idea. I knew there was a cheap fishing rod at Walmart on sale for $20 because I bought it last week. My idea was to take the tag off that one and switch it with the rod I wanted. I even thought about it not having the same tag, so I made a plastic loop out of a fishing line so the new one would have a similar tag. Tried my best to stay stealthy and put it on the new rod. Checked myself out through self-checkout and walked out with the rod. Bought some hooks too just in case they saw the low price and were skeptical about it. I feel guilty but I'm happy I got the rod. At art college, I copied an essay from the Face magazine and added it as my own work. It was for an art history module. We had to write a short essay about any popular culture subject. I copied an article word for word about Saturday Night TV from the Face magazine. My lecturer gave me a distinction. She liked it so much she read it out in class. No one else knows but me, until now. Lied and used the person for a while and then lied to get out of it. I didn't start using them right away, but I had inserted lies throughout the duration of knowing this person. I'd make up a bunch of people that didn't exist just cause I didn't really have a good reason for it. I just felt like doing it at the time, I guess. I'd made up a bunch of random things because in the moment it just worked for me. We had a pretty fucked up relationship and they had been pretty abusive to me before I started using them. And then one day, I just started doing it. I did it for a while on and off just to get free food and random things on company when I was bored. They were pretty inexpensive. Eventually, I was only doing it like twice or 3 times a month at most. I had begun to realize how shitty what I had done was and felt pretty bad about it. I tried to justify it by saying they treated me like shit, but I don't really stand by that honestly. I did it because it was convenient for me. For a little while, it did feel like revenge though. I wasn't ever going to come clean about lying, but I was going to tie everything off in a clean way and cut contact. But then the day I decided to do it, they came to me after coming to the realization that I had lied about a lot of things. I panicked and lied even more to save face. Not sure why I did it honestly. I was fine with cutting contacts at that point, but I did it anyway. Part of me says I did it to spare them the hurt of feeling used, and part of me says I did it just because I didn't want to be caught. In any case, they believed my extra round of lying in the end, and I managed to tie things off the way I originally intended. albeit kind of shakily. I did end up cutting contact, and before I did, it seemed like we were both in a great place in our lives. I've never used people in my life before this person, but I did use them for a while. I made a promise to never lie like that anymore, and I've been holding to it with no trouble. I don't struggle with not lying, but I do struggle with my guilt about doing this. Before I cut contact, I did do an umbrella apology for being cheating and hurting them and acknowledging our terrible relationship, and we cut contact mutually and peacefully. I just keep thinking back to that moment when they found out, and I scrabbled to keep the lies together one last time. Figured confession some way somehow might help me. I'm no longer that person. I'm in a very healthy relationship with someone I love dearly, and I could never imagine lying to or using them this way. One old lie made its way into our relationship super early on, but it's a harmless white lie, so I just left it be. I just hope I can get over this. I know I'm not this person anymore, and I know I don't agree with what I did. I would constantly steal from my blind grandparents growing up. I have memories of stealing hundreds of dollars out of my grandmother's wallet to buy video games, wrestling figurines, clothes, and in-game purchases. I remember when I was like 12, my grandmother said I couldn't get this game, so in the evening I took money out of her wallet and then bought to Zellas and bought the game for myself. I was raised without any mother or father but my grandmother and her blind sister, who are not biological. And when I was a teenager, young adult, I would buy League of Legends, skins, and BS like Domino's Visa with their credit cards I took pictures of. My blind 80-year-old great aunt was always worrying about bills, and my retarded ass was stealing from them like I'm fucked. I used a kid in middle school for chocolate and snacks. Okay, so this happened back when I was in 7th grade. Back in 7th grade, my family was hella poor, so we really never could afford luxuries such as candy and toys. I had a best friend at the time who was the best lineman on the team. You all know what I mean by that. Every day he would come to school, he had hella candy and snacks that you would eat throughout the day, but you wouldn't share unless you were dating him. So about 3 weeks goes by and he gets a girlfriend and buys a fuck ton of candy and snacks. About a week later, they broke up and I had the bright idea to fake like him so that I could get snacks because I knew he liked me. So he asked to be my boyfriend. I said yes, and the next day at school I had hella snacks waiting for me. I broke up with him after I took the snacks. I burned $30,000 and have nothing to show for it. It was stock investments that was meant to be used for college, but I never went to school and fell into a deep depression for years, where I essentially just used it to pay rent and survive. Absolutely no reason and absolutely nothing to show for it. I'm in a better place now, and that money would be life-changing. Down payments on a house, a new car, whatever. But nope, nothing. I purposely act stupid and put myself in situations where others would get mad at me. I grew up in a very emotional distant household, meaning any emotion that was not overly happy was bad. You would either be ignored, told to push it down, or sometimes be flatly yelled at, threatened, or hit. This caused me to never know how to properly and healthy feel emotions or gauge when something was worth it. I would take small things like being respectfully criticized and take them as a personal attack, blowing them out of proportion. Around the age of 14, I realized that this was not an attitude that would help me in the long run, especially considering my goals. The only solution I could think of was to put myself in situations I knew that I would take personally, and then force myself to walk through it and learn how to let it bounce off of me. I don't like being perceived as stupid to people in real life, so I would exclusively act like a troll online. Was never rude, but certainly acted or spoke in ignorant ways, or in places it wasn't my place to. I still do this as I still have trouble with this, but I definitely have made for strides since childhood, and I'm a lot calmer when in uncomfortable situations. I do also act like a troll on this account, so feel free to talk shit to me, laugh my ass out. I got an A for a book report in college about a book I didn't read. Mine was actually chosen as the best one in class. The truth is, I have never had to exert any effort intellectually in order to succeed. Now that I'm old, I regret not trying to learn more. I have spent a great deal of time lately learning as much as possible, even though it will only be useful personally and not professionally. When I was 8 or 9, I charged several $1,000s from my grandparents whom I live with. When I was 8 or 9, I charged several $1,000s from my grandparents whom I live with. To this day, they don't know it was me. When I was very young, I was extremely addicted to Roblox, and one day I decided to buy Robux with my grandparents' credit card. That's when this one kid who was probably older than me took advantage of my stupidity, and I ended up giving him probably several hundreds of dollars worth in Robux. When they found out about the charges, I just lied about it and somehow got away with it. I am now 13, almost 14, but I feel horrible for what I did, and I would be very scared to admit this. Everyone in my college class thinks I'm employed, and I don't know how to fix it. I'm currently in college, and on our first day, the instructor went around the room and wanted us to tell us about ourselves. I was the second to the last person up, and everyone else was employed. I choked and told everyone I was employed because I didn't want to seem like a lowlife, especially because I'm a bigger guy and I've been looking for work, but nobody wants to hire a big guy. 60 plus applications and 70 interviews with no job kinda proves that. It's been 10 months and now I'm super regretful that I didn't just be honest up front, and I have to continue lying about it in conversation, and I feel like it's too late to come clean about it, especially since one person in the class is a very good friend of mine now and is extremely honest and even tried to get me a job at his work because he said I'm one of the only person in the class that he actually likes talking to. I feel horrible about it. Complete memory loss on my last night in Santiago, and it terrifies me. After 2 months of studying in Santiago, it was my last night before leaving. After a farewell dinner with all my Chilean friends, one of my American guy friends convinced me to go to the club with him one last time. I had been drinking at the dinner, but little. My guy friend was chasing after a girl he'd been texting for a while, so I found a guy to talk to. He was older, but I was used to this in Chile since it's very common for clubs to be filled with older men. He looked Russian, which was incredibly strange in Chile. This didn't mean anything, but it stood out to me as unusual. We talked at the bar for a while, and the man bought me a drink. I was distracted, but I know he was holding my drink for a long time before giving it to me. I took 2 sips of my drink, and that's all that I remember until the next morning. I woke up with white powder coated on the outside of my lips. Disoriented, I didn't even think about it at the time. I called my guy friend, and he told me he found me drunk and incoherent, alone, and helped me home. I am so grateful to him. He told me he had no idea where I went, but that I probably just drank too much and I shouldn't worry. The day after that was blurry to me, much more than a normal hangover. Or maybe it wasn't, and I am convincing myself it was. I have bruises on my knees and shins. These don't concern me too much because my guy friend said it was very likely I would have fallen. What scares me is bruises on my arms. There aren't many, but a few on my left arm that terrify me in their resemblance to figure marks. I told some of this to my guy friend, and he told me not to assume the worst. He reminded me alcohol can sometimes take a long time to fully take effect, then feel like it hits you all at once. I don't know if I'm frustrated with my friend for assuming something worse didn't happen, or if he's right in assuming that. I don't want to be the kind of girl who jumps to a conclusion, accusing a man of something to avoid responsibility. If I got too wasted and made a fool of myself, that's my own fault and I'm to blame. But part of me feels like that doesn't add up and I'm terrified. Mainly, I don't understand the powder on my lips that morning. I don't know what to think and I am just scared. I didn't pay the full balance for my Burger King order. I went through the Burger King drive-thru today and the total for my order came to around $23.45. I decided to pay $22 in cash. I knew this wasn't enough, but I just gave the cashier the money and I was gonna wait for her to tell me it wasn't enough so that I could have given her my card to cover the remaining balance. About 15 to 30 seconds later, the cashier stepped away and another employee came through the window and gave me my food. I was a little surprised that he did this because I knew I didn't pay the full balance. I drove off anyway. I know the employees fucked up and didn't communicate the fact that I didn't fully pay for my food, but I really should have given her my cash and card at the same time, or should have brought it up instead of driving away. I have stolen 300 euros from my grandma and I cannot stop thinking of it. I just turned 18. I have a job too. I once got 50 because my mom doesn't give me much money, only 3 euros per day, and I spent it all at once for makeup and snacks. I cannot withdraw my wage as it is for my university, even though I only get 200 euros per month. Grandma has a lot of money, and I went and took another 50 euros for a school trip, and then I also wasted it again, and I kept taking, and I've taken 300 euros total, spent it on everything that I would see as expensive and something I could not usually afford. I feel so weird. I wish I never did it. I don't have enough to put it back. I was never this sad or with no hope, as I like to do affirmations to keep myself going, but nowadays they don't seem to work. I feel so ungrateful and I don't know what to do. I cannot confess as my family would probably kick me out. I'm graduating soon and I don't deserve anything they are paying for. I've stopped asking my mom for money. I don't want anything. I've developed this thing for stealing and I feel like it will continue. I find myself wanting things I don't think I will ever have and thinking of ways I could get it without paying. My mom doesn't have much money and my dad is deadbeat, but she sacrifices so much for us. I felt what it was like to have the best of things and I got addicted. I felt so safe with money in my pocket, but now I regret it so bad. I wish she had never showed me her stack of money. She trusted me. Put my hand in a girl shirt in elementary school. I just remember this memory and it kind of hit me like a bag of bricks. When I was in 5th grade, I was hanging out with friends after school and one of the girls stole my phone and put it in her bra. She was like 11 or 12 but was held back. And I remember wanting my phone back, so I just reached into her shirt and took my phone back. I don't think my intentions were anything other than to get my phone back, but I realized that putting my hands in someone else's shirt was wrong. I scratched a child and blamed it on another child. I used to be a preschool teacher. One day, in breaking up 2 toddlers fighting, I scratched one of them just below the eye. Nothing serious. He started crying. My co-teacher came over to see what was going on and asked the crying child. He said he was fighting with the girl. I said she must have scratched him. She got in trouble. It was me and my pretty nails. I scratched Hugo the child. Sorry, Hugo. If you've reached the end of this video, comment Apple. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe and like this video so that others can see it too. Turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any Reddit story.